Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, September 8th, 2015. I am Dan Rubin, joined by Duane Long. It is a glorious Tuesday. Ohio State defeated Virginia Tech 42-24 in Blacksburg yesterday evening to start the season off at 1-0. Game got off to a glorious start, then got a little hairy, and then ended up being just like every other Ohio State game we've seen for the last X months. 42 points, same as they scored against Alabama and Oregon. Duane, your general impressions of your Buckeyes?
Well, I just brutally efficient. There was definitely some things we need to work out. We still go into a tough place against a really good coaching staff. We saw that in the second quarter when they completely took us apart. I mean, we got out-coached badly in the second quarter, and we won against a team that thought they could beat us. So, you come out and you say, well, we had a nice win, but there are some things we're going to have to work on before we're going to repeat.
All right, let's take it from the top then. Everybody wanted to know the answer, I'll admit. I was shocked isn't the word, but I was surprised J.T. Barrett wasn't the quarterback. I went on record here with my 3 predictions a while back. We'll get to those a little bit later. One of which was J.T. Barrett was going to win the Heisman Trophy. That looks like it might be challenged now. I'm not going to give up completely on that yet, but your thoughts when you saw Cardale take the first snap?
Well, it was always I wanted the best guy in there. I didn't care if it was Jones, Barrett, or Miller. I just wanted the best guy under center. I thought our offense was best with 12 gauge in there, and he can make defenses sit back and say, this guy can throw it over our heads, and we know they got people that can run by us. So I think that was, to me, that's where the offense is its most brutally efficient, is with him back there being able to throw the ball. But let's not take it away from the guy. Runs pretty well for a big dude. He's an effective runner. He's not a dangerous runner like Jones or like Barrett or Miller, but he's an effective runner. So that's what I go back to. I was not really. What would have surprised me was because of the problem last week with the migraines. I was really concerned about that. I thought I wouldn't have played him until I was absolutely certain that he was completely healthy, and it looks like he is. Played very well in this game. Only the one bad ball. He never should have thrown the ball that was intercepted. He could have run for the first down. But that just shows he's got more confidence in his arm than his legs. But overall, very impressed with what Cardale Jones did last night. And my surprise was not that he was named the starter. My surprise was that he was in there because of the migraine.
Do you think any of it was? I mean, I still to this day think it's kind of a coin toss for the quarterbacks, and it just makes more sense now. If they really were even in your mind to play the older guy, to play for a year and leave, then you get, 2 more years of J.T. Barrett as the captain. J.T. seems to have the personality that would fit, although I think Cardale would have handled it beautifully. I was impressed, surprised, definitely, but I have the trust in Herb, man. I'm not going to question that to this point. Let's talk about the guy who stole the show, Braxton Miller. I thought while his play was incredible and effective in the game, I thought the biggest contribution he did was when he made those plays, it certainly gave the team a certain level of confidence that Braxton's one of those guys, when you have him on your side, if he plays like he can, there's nothing anybody else can do about it. I thought he gave the team a lot of confidence when he started to play well when the game was teetering there. Your impressions of number one in his new jersey and his new position?
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that kid got in there and performed like that. Everyone seemed to be like, he can't be the quarterback anymore. They're just going to move him out there. It seemed like so many people he was just going to be another receiver. He was spectacular. The big catch that he made was, you wouldn't expect a guy who just moved over from quarterback to make that catch. It was beautiful. That's a veteran receiver catch. And the spin move, that right there, you could just feel the air come out of the stadium when he did that. He just left them standing. He's showing that he is going to be an NFL receiver. Now it's a matter of how high is he going to go. He's got size. He's obviously got shown hands, and look what he does after the catch. We knew what he could do once he had the ball in his hands and got in the open field. Now he's putting the other elements together in there. Braxton Miller is going to be an impact player. I think that Marshall and Wilson, they need to get back because they're going to have to work real hard to move Braxton Miller out of there. He looked really outstanding. And, people are saying Heisman. If he keeps doing that, why wouldn't he be in a conversation? There's absolutely no reason. He's already got the media spotlight. Everyone's going to be talking about him, and if he's making big plays like that, he's definitely got the opportunity to be in it. I'd like to see him, run the jet sweep. Make people chase him. See what they can do. And then you can throw off of that. Well, we think he can throw off of that. We don't know exactly what condition his shoulder's in, but I thought he was just outstanding last night and very important in the victory.
Yeah, Virginia Tech has an extremely athletic front seven. Even their best defensive end you saw was like 225 pounds. They're a whippersnapper, at least the rush guy. So I thought, the jet sweep is going to be a challenge against a group like that. And Bud Foster, I thought you made some good points earlier. They really coached a good game. Even when Virginia Tech was effective on offense, I thought it was more coaching and scheme than talent with throwback and the wheel route to the bootleg to the fullback. But Braxton is just an amazing football player. A couple things that jumped out to me. He does look bigger to me. You can tell he's gotten in the weight room and is stronger. I also thought the fact that his first reception, I think you referred to it, that diving reception across the middle, first of all, it was textbook. He dove and got his shoulder under it. For a guy who's dropped a number of passes in practice, catching your first pass in front of everybody and making it I thought that gave him a little bit of confidence catching the ball, and then it was just off to the races. So I don't know if he's going to have the statistical numbers to make a run at the Heisman. He may not touch the ball enough, but in terms of wow plays, I think he's the wow player of the first weekend of college football. And you made a good point also. He's a household name already. So it was very cool to see him play. It was also very cool, like you said, to see a guy who's invested so much in the program come back and have so much success. I think that's one of those things that will help with the rest of the team. They see that kind of investment into the team and yourself pays off. And Duane, you're always one of the best guys to talk to about the offensive line. Last year, that group entered this game. They had only started one game together as a group, and it was the Navy game the week before. None of them had started that position the year before. They were the second youngest offensive line in football. They finished as the best offensive line in college football in kind of rolling over Alabama and Oregon. But the Virginia Tech game was definitely their worst. How do you think the offensive line played? There were times when it was a struggle, but I think all in all, a pretty solid performance.
You have to understand the scheme. Bud Foster is going to get in your face and come after you. That's what he's going to do. He's got a lot of people coming. I thought overall they did well. The one problem, Billy Price had a really tough game last night. They really got in his face and caused him all kinds of problems. He was the only one. I thought Chase Ferris stood up quite well. He really handled himself. I only remember the one glaring error. We were trying to convert a pass. He didn't cut the tack. He didn't cut him. He did not cut him, and I saw Jones say something to him afterward. I mean, he didn't jump on him or anything. He just like, man, you got to get that guy off his feet. It was going to be an easy completion, another conversion. See, that was one of the things that bothers me about last night. Beyond the 3 turnovers, we were 3 of 9 on third down. You're not going to win a lot of football games 3 of 9 on third down efficiency. That's just really tough. And you got to convert those. You've got to move the sticks. And I think about how many times it was our fault that we did not. It wasn't something Virginia Tech did. I think about that play right there. And where Jones, he always got to do is run the ball. It gets tipped up in the air. Guy wasn't really open, but the ball gets tipped, intercepted. We get a turnover, and we don't convert on third down. So, and he could have run for it. Those two right there put you at better than 50%. Just we didn't execute. So, we got to work on those things still. 572 total yards, 360 on the ground. You look at the penalties. The penalties were we got a touchdown called back on penalty. So we were not brutally efficient in this football game. We ended up we got a lot of talent. That's really what it comes down to. We're the most talented team in the country. That's why we're number one. But we got to work through some kinks. We can't be making those kind of mistakes and expect to win another national championship. But, 2.9 an attempt, 128 yards, yeah, but they rushed for an average of 2.9. We were 9.7. So we were brutally efficient in this game, and that's what won it for us. We were just too talented, and give guys opportunities, and bang, something's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think many college football teams have lost carrying the ball 37 times for 360 yards. So no matter what we say about the offensive line, you got to come back to the point where you're going against the defense that, according to 24/7 Sports, and I agree with this, or at least is in the mix, was the third-rated defense in the country behind Ohio State and Alabama, and they rushed for 9.7 yards a carry. Yes, that's John, just by the fact that there's an 80-yard run in there, but they also, you're talking about four guys. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. Every guy who touched the ball, 6 of the 7 guys who carried it had a rush of over 10 yards. So the holes were there. Very impressive. Billy Price, he's going to see the Hokies in his nightmares. As if you thought he played poorly last night, let's not get out the tape of last year. So that was a challenge for him. And I agree, the only one play I saw from Ferris that jumped out at me did not cut the tackle on that play. Overall, given that front, I thought it was an impressive performance, and one we've come to expect from them, given they're the best group in the country.
You have to just look at the things that we did to ourselves. With the turnovers, all of them they turned into something. That's huge. And getting a touchdown called back on a penalty, those kind of things. Championship teams don't do that kind of stuff. We got to eliminate the mistakes that we made in this football game. You look at the stats, and what you see is, wow, you just look at the good stuff, wow, what a dominating performance. And then you say, well, we were down at the half. Why? Because we made mistakes.
I wonder if Urban has not created or getting them into a game where this is how it's going to be, where they want it to be a talent game, where, listen, we're going to make this a high-pressure game. Both teams are going to make a lot of mistakes, and we think we're going to come out in the end. That's kind of what happened. This looked like last year's games. Keep in mind, they scored 42 points against Oregon. They scored 4 against Alabama and Oregon and now. My prediction for the score was 42-20, and it was 42-24. This is what they do. They almost mess around with you and lull you into a game on where it's going to be a talent game, and it turns out like this. So I don't know if this is by design, and we're going to be like that old Miami Hurricanes team that would be the best team ever and also break every record for penalties every year. Now, I don't personally want to do that, but if it's 42-24 and we make a lot of penalties, I can live with that in the long run. I will say this, and you can tell me what you think. I thought if they scored to make it 21-0 there, we were looking at the Wisconsin game again.
I was sitting here looking at that, and when we had the ball the third time, I said, we put them away here if we score again. We score the first 3 times we had the ball. First, I wanted to take the fans out of it early, and we did 3 and out. First, and then go down and score 2, and then come right back and score again. I thought, these guys are in trouble. And when we got the ball the third time, I said, if we score here, if people can start going home. It's going to get ugly. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. We needed to even Desmond Howard, I know Buckeye fans hate Desmond Howard, but Desmond Howard said Ohio State needs to absorb Virginia Tech early, and then they should coast. I think I heard Matt Leinart say that too a couple of nights ago. Just deal with what you're going to deal with. They're going to come out, enter Sandman. The place is going to be rocking. This is a good football program. This isn't. We didn't just play East Carolina. We played a good football program. One of the better ones in the country over the last 20 years or so. They've got a good-sized stadium, and their fans come out, and they're going to be loud. And it's just one of those intimidating environments. But our guys just don't seem to worry about that. We go down and beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, that kind of stuff. We don't seem to get nervous about stuff. And when we absorbed that blow and took that lead, I thought, okay, we're about to run these guys. And that third score, I think, would have completely changed the complexion of the game. Yes, absolutely, I agree with you.
And as far as Virginia Tech being a good program, this is a statistic I heard that I was impressed with. Since 1995, the program with the most 10-win seasons is the Ohio State University. I believe the number is 15. Number 2 on that list since 1995 is Virginia Tech with 13, I believe. So over the past, let me do my math, 20X years, 21 years, they've won 10 games, second most to Ohio State. And there were many, many pros on the field for, at least on their defense. There were 3 or 4 guys there that are going to get drafted for sure. So it was impressive. Speaking of which, I thought statistically it might not look like he had a great night, but the guy to me who made himself some serious cash last night and has been doing that for a while is Michael Thomas. Much was made of the competition between Michael and Kendall Fuller, the defensive back from Virginia Tech, whose brother Kyle is on the Bears. I thought, he drew 3 pass interference penalties, and the stop-and-go move he made at the end is kind of the cut-and-paste, combine highlight for him against another player. Michael Thomas was very impressive. I thought really showed he's the number 1 receiver.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more, because Fuller is big time. And to go play that guy like that, one thing that I think would have helped him, we only threw 19 balls. We only put 19 balls up last night. So, if we throw him the ball enough, I think he's got the potential to be a guy who we're talking about going early. He's got to just see more balls thrown his way. But he was effective against Fuller. I think he definitely had the upper hand. And I've touted Michael Thomas for the longest time. Last year he was our leading receiver. Now everyone acts like, well, what are we going to do at receiver with Devin Smith going? I said, well, our number 1 guy's back. The guy he had nearly twice as many catches as Devin Smith did last year. He had 9 touchdowns to Smith's 12. So this big-time receiver, and last night he showed he is a big-time receiver against a big-time defensive back. Absolutely outstanding, I thought.
Yeah, if you look at his statistics, he was 2 for 46 with a touchdown, but he drew 3 pass interference penalties, key ones. So that's basically a 5 for 100 with a touchdown or 2 against the number 1 corner. You can't do any better than that. Very impressed with Thomas. One guy who's kind of an unsung hero last night, he's going to probably be remembered for knocking Michael Brewer out, was Adolphus Washington. Early on in Adolphus's career, he would be good for the first 15 or 20 snaps and then kind of die. He played a ton of snaps. He was in the game forever. I thought he wore them down defensively, and eventually his hit on Brewer did it. Talk about the interior of the defensive line. Tommy Shutt even flashed a little bit.
I thought the guy that stood out to me just being solid in there and helping Adolphus be as good as he was last night was Hale. I thought Hale looked really good. We saw Hill come in and make a big play. But Tommy, I keep wanting to call him Tommy. Tommy Shutt he played really solid football last night. He did help out. Like I said, I thought Hale was better. But we did get something out of Shutt, and that's all we need. We don't need a lot. Washington just needs to get singled as much as possible. If you put him in there one-on-one, he's going to disrupt the offense. There's no doubt about it. He had a really good game last night. I thought that young ends, I was so impressed with them. Lewis in particular, he was just tough in there. He was very physical. He was trying to set the edge. He was doing things. His body's really not there. He's not a big guy. He's a rush-in type. But he was playing more like a strong side guy. He was holding that point, setting the edge, doing the grunt work. I thought he looked really good. And then we had the really young guys. Hubbard was running around all over the place. Holmes, I thought, was actually the best defensive end on the field, or for us at least. He was very active. He was getting off blocks, doing a lot of chasing, especially later in the game. He seemed to be in there more than Hubbard was. I thought he was outstanding. Defensive line played well. The defense in general, you're looking at the 24 points. Let's take that last touchdown off the board. That didn't count. The 17 points that were scored, it was stuff they weren't able to. They had to resort to stuff like wheel routes and misdirection stuff out. They couldn't just run the ball right at us. 2.9 yards a carry, and they came into this game wanting to run the ball. That's all they wanted to do. They don't want to throw the ball if they don't have to. And once Brewster went down, the other kid not a good passer at all. So to shut this team that wants to just run the ball, to shut them down to that 2.9, that's very impressive with what the defense did. The 17 points, that goes, we fumble a punt. We threw an interception. We just did stuff that hurt us, put our defense up against it. And they got some misdirection off on us. Okay. Well, you're not going to win football games with that. Throwing that in as a wrinkle, great. We do it. We did some of that stuff. But you don't win football games like that, just trying to get the defense in a situation. You got to go out and beat some guys, and we're so much better than anybody, just talent-wise. And as you were saying earlier, I think it's a very important point. I think that, we're fine with this. Okay, let's throw the athletes out there on the field and see who's got the best athletes. The only thing that really matters is the final score and who lifts the trophy at the end of the season. You want to keep track of the stats and all that, you go ahead. I'm keeping track of the scoreboard. And that trophy we're getting ready to put in the WAC. That's what I think that maybe that's what we're doing, Dan. I don't think that Urban Meyer's much. All this that we're talking about right now, maybe he's not paying any attention. He just sees a score and we're done. We won.
Yeah, it's eerily reminiscent to his Florida days where if you go back and look at the statistics, that's why he had never had a 1,000-yard rusher. The ball was spread around to all the athletes, and they just wore you down with just overall aggregate talent. They just recruited you into the ground. Who were some other guys that flashed to you? One of them, to me, I thought a really big play. It was only one play, but Michael Hill had a penetration tackle that stopped some momentum for them, which was nice. Who were some other guys that you think deserve some credit that maybe flashed?
The guy that I thought was very impressive tackling was Gary Conley. He was playing like a safety. He was coming up. He's a big dude for a cornerback. You look at him. I saw him on the field for the first time, and I actually forgot who he was. I was like, "Who's the linebacker, number 8?" Wait, and then it's Conley. He's so big, and he's a cornerback for us. He was outstanding, I thought, last night. Did a lot of good tackling. I mean, they weren't throwing the ball effectively enough. I mean, they were 15 to 25. But he was just sticking guys. He didn't miss a tackle all night. I thought he played extremely well. I thought Apple played quite well last night. The guy that really impressed me of the linebackers was Perry. I'm used to him being a guy out in space, being real solid, just being that guy, but he was coming in sticking people last night. I thought he was one of the more effective games that we've seen out of him. And Darren Lee's always going to make his plays. We didn't play badly. It's just when we played badly, wow, did we play badly. The second quarter, it was like an aberration. We got out-coached. We got outplayed completely. They scored 17 points in the second quarter. We gave them 17 points. We just didn't play well. We scored 42 points against a team that statistically was the third best defense in the country last year. Well, we did it to Alabama, too, and they were number 2. But we are going to score a lot of points. Rushing for 360 yards against that defense, we're nitpicking when we're saying what's to stop us. We can stop us. Nobody's going to stop us. Nobody's going to stop us. As you said, with the number of skill players, there's no drop-off. Your guy over there who may be an All-American, well, when he gets tired, he's not an All-American anymore. And our guy's fresh and just as good as the guy who started the game. So, and we can go 3-4 deep with some of these guys. So you just keep getting talent run at you all day, and you're getting tired. And really, look in the second half, we dominated the second half, just took over the football game. We just started to wear them down. As you said, Washington was in the backfield the entire fourth quarter. He was running around the backfield. They couldn't continue to block him. We've just got so many athletes right now. It's almost like going back to the old days of Coach Hayes when there were unlimited scholarships and the top 20 programs were so loaded that, upsets didn't happen very often. Well, we got so much talent, nobody's going to be able to step out on the field and say, we can match up with these guys.
It was impressive, Bucknutters, and it was fun. It's going to be a heck of a ride this season, and we'll be here for every step of the way. We thank Duane for waking up and getting the coffee going. That's what was a late night for everybody. 1-0. We'll be back tomorrow. Go Bucks.